Chapter 2 The Cosmos. Prior to the formation of the cosmos, the descendants and ascendants transmutations and the evolution of the cosmos, a perpetual and vivified substance had existed, but it still lacked the necessary motion to become a stream of energy which could engender other resultant powers. This invisible and extremely light substance is called the light or the life. Start a footnote. The light is a substance without any cause that gives its birth. It is not the light of the sun. It engendered the sunlight, which is heavier. This light animates in latency in the sunlight and in all speeds of other lights. And a footnote. The original substance that forms the cosmos is the light. In other words, the basis of the original substance is the light. Its character is the perpetual life, and its character's energy is the original energy of the cosmos. In the original substance, all become unique. Substance is also character and energy. Character is energy as well. This substance is original, ever being, ever existing, and also the creative source of all energies and powers. Nothing can destroy it. The light is the source that engenders all powers, therefore it has neither speed nor direction. In other words, this cosmic energy has an absolute speed in the whole cosmos, and it can extend across all other speeds of powers that result from it. That means the cosmic energy, the life or the light, moves lively in latency in all powers, in any life powers which are created by it. This original substance could not have transmuted if there had not been the catalyst that stimulate the original substance. The divine super mind of the Creator was the catalyst. The Creator stimulated the light from which came the first living energy. In the motion of the light, there were the miracle, the perpetual life, the ever-being in the divine super mind. Therefore, this first living energy is the combination of the light, the divine mechanism, the divine character, and the divine cause, or the divine super mind plus the light equal the light plus the divine mechanism, the divine character, and the divine cause. This first living energy lively moved and formed the first step of the transmutation movement of the cosmos, motioning by the two distinct lights, which was caused by the stimulation of the divine super mind to the original light. These two lights were yang light and yin light, which were different in character but belonged to the same substance. These invisible energies came from the original life, the light, that had been engendered by the divine super mind. Therefore, yang light and yin light contained the stimulation energy of the divine super mind. The divine super mind stimulated yang light and yin light and formed the supernatural world, or the invisible world in the cosmos. Start a footnote. Though it is called invisible, it really has forms and shapes. This world is invisible to normal sense organs and only visible to the sacred sense, which can see it with the entire range of vision of 360 degrees. And a footnote. As such, the first step of the cosmos was formed. In the supernatural world, all living things and living beings were created by the intercommunication and transmutation. The divine supermind catalyzed the original substance, the life, setting apart the light into two primordial energies, yang light and yin light. They became the two steady streams of energies. Being distinct characters but of the same substance, these streams lively intercommunicated and thus transmuted. Coming from the intercommunication of the two streams that had been catalyzed by the divine supermind, this transmutation had a miraculous function. This transmutation began that of other worlds in the cosmos. This transmutation contained the divine mechanism, the divine character, and the divine cause of the first world, the supernatural world, in which yang light and yin light lively motioned, and all living things and living beings were formed by the yang and yin light. The transmutation of the two lights, possessing the divine mechanism, the divine character, and the divine cause, constituted the movement. It was the first movement, the super movement in the cosmos that came from the transmutation of the two energies that had been catalyzed by the divine supermind. In summary, the divine supermind catalyzed onto the light, the original substance, the life, separating it into two streams of energy, namely the yang light and the yin light, in which the divine supermind still animated. This mind and the two streams of energy constituted the supernatural world. The two streams of energy animated, intercommunicated, and transmuted. The motion of the two streams of energy and the divine supermind started the transmutation process, which contained the divine mechanism, the divine character, and the divine cause, all of which came from the divine supermind. The operation of all that had been created in that world was called the cosmic movement. This primordial movement was the movement of the supernatural world. The descendant transmutation of the supernatural world proceeds in persistence. The original elements animated, but it did not yet transmute until the divine supermind catalyzed onto it, from which simultaneously came two life's energies, which intercommunicated and engendered the super life's energies. This transmutation engendered living beings and things with the two energies, the light. The more this transmutation happened, the more life's energies coming from the original life increased. But the original life, the light, did not diminish. On the contrary, it augmented in accordance with the ascendant and descendant transmutations in synchronization. These synchronous transmutations happened in the supernatural world. They were the two motions without determined direction. The motion without set direction is the static motion without beginning or end. Life's energies equaled to the life itself in the supernatural world in the two synchronous transmutations. Therefore, static motion lasts forever. That means life's energies are identical to the life in static motion. The equalization of life's energies and the life in synchronization permits its transmutation to function persistently and forever. The life, or the light, animates without movement. Life's energies that come from the life move, but their movements operate in the life's animation. The two energies, which are of the same substance but different in character, lively intercommunicate and thus transmute. This process of transmutation is called cosmic movement. The two synchronous transmutations motion without any direction. Therefore, the supernatural movement of that world has no direction either. That means the function of static movement has no alteration. All animations in the supernatural world are miraculous, following the catalysis by the divine supermind. The cosmic transmutations are the miraculous and persistent functions. But what was the first energy that began to move? All descendant transmutations begin by Yang. That means Yang starts first, then draws Yin to move, in which Yang moves in latency, and Yin is heavier than Yang. Start of footnote. In the natural world, many facts are identical to this law of descendant transmutation with other substances that are heavier than the light. Newborns cry and exhale first, meaning Yang Qi first begins to function. Then they inhale, meaning Yin Qi continues. This Yang Qi and Yin Qi form the breathing circuit of the baby. Similarly, in living species, there are many microbes, of which the male exists before the female. The male splits into two halves, one of which transmutes into the female. Then the two continue to multiply. End of footnote. The descendant transmutation proceeds in other different substances, which continue to transmute in other super and supernatural worlds. In any heavier substance, there is or are always one lighter substance or several lighter substances lively motioning. When the divine supermind catalyzes into the undeterminable volume of the original substance, the light, the yang light started to move first, then drew in the yin light into motion. The motion of the two energies in the static motion of the light in that undeterminable volume formed the first aspect of the cosmos, the supernatural world. Numerous other cosmoses were formed in the same way, thanks to the catalysis by the divine supermind onto the light or the life. At the first step of formation, the cosmos was also the supernatural world. In other words, the supernatural world took shape of the cosmos. This world consisted of only the light, motioning lively and transmuting simultaneously. In this world, there was neither space nor time. In other words, space is also time, and vice versa. All are invisible. Start a footnote. Although the light, the life of man's mind, is formed in the natural world around the earth, it is identical. It has neither space nor time. In other words, invisible space equals time in human mind. For that reason, human mind is the life, the light. It persists, but around the earth only, until it is transmuted into the life, the light of the supernatural world, meaning the supermind. End of footnote. Because the supernatural world was formed by the light, a perpetual substance of which life is infinite, the life of the supernatural world was also infinite. The divine supermind continued to create in the supernatural world and animated as the light in all creatures. The life of all creatures was realized by the light. Thus, all creatures have the perpetual life. And from that on, they transmuted and still do. The transmutations continue their progression. The descendant transmutation continue to form the supernatural world. The descendants' transmutation started from the divine super-mind that catalyzed onto the original substance, separating it into yang light and yin light. The two energies intercommunicated, animated, and transmuted in synchronization. From their lively intercommunication, their transmutation engendered other energies of life, and the creatures were formed by the two lights. In that intercommunication, the extreme dynamism became extremely static. Therefore, it produced an ascendant transmutation. As such, the original life does not decrease, but increases instead. It was the miracle of the divine super-mind that catalyzed the original energy to produce other energies and simultaneously augmented the original energy. Those energies have continued to produce without being diminished. Due to this quality, they transmute perpetually and increase. The original energies augment, increasing the life of the cosmos, and the cosmos is in constant expansion as well. The transmutation did not diminish the original energies, but continued with the yang light and the yin light that intercommunicated and engendered the cosmic electric. Start of footnote. It was formed in the supernatural world and is an endless energy with an extreme voltage that is higher than any other electric in the supernatural world and the natural world, because it was engendered by an energy without origin, meaning the light. End of footnote. In other words, the cosmic electric came from the intercommunication of the yang light and the yin light. The cosmic electric is heavier than the light. The light is the original substance that spreads in the whole cosmos and lighter than any other substances coming from the light. Thus, in latency, the light animates in the cosmic electric. And in the yang light and yin light, there is the divine super-mind animating and catalyzing. As such, in the cosmic electric, there are the divine super-mind and the yang light and the yin light in latency. In any heavier substance, there is always one, or there are always several lighter substances which move in their circuits. The yang cosmic electric started first, then drew the yin cosmic electric, and the two powers intercommunicated and transmuted. From this process, the yang and the yin of the cosmic electric formed the supernatural world, in which the divine super-mind and the yang yin lights animated and continued to transmute in ascendant and descendant ways. The divine super-mind plus yang light and yin light are always in motion in the supernatural world. They all stay within the movement of the electric and formed the supernatural world. Thus, the supernatural world intertwines with the supernatural world, and the supernatural world is enclosed in the supernatural world. These two worlds by far constituted the cosmos. In them existed the animation, intercommunication, and distinct transmutations by their different constituent substances. By this stage, in the formation of the cosmos, two distinct worlds animated with different constituent substances. The supernatural world, yang light and yin light, plus the divine super-mind. The supernatural world, yang electric, yin electric, plus yang light, yin light, plus the divine super-mind. When the cosmic electric came from the light, it was only an energy, not yet a current of energy, until it became two streams, yang electric and yin electric. At that time, stars, planets, and other cosmic phenomena began to be formed, and their basic constituent elements were yang and yin cosmic electric. The first point of intersection of the two streams of energy formed the sun, or the center of intersection of the two cosmic electric currents from which sunlight originated. Start of footnote. Sunlight was engendered by the cosmic electric, which was transmuted by the original light. Therefore, the source of sunlight is endless. Sunlight is heavier than the light. The light is the life of the cosmos, but sunlight is the energy of life of the cosmos. End of footnote. Then they continued to evolve, following their proper circuit. The essential elements that shaped the supernatural phenomena, planets, stars, etc., in the supernatural world were the yang and yin streams of cosmic electric, which followed their course of transmutation. These two currents of energy progressed infinitely in this world, and supernatural phenomena continued to form in their progression. As did the light, the cosmic electric depended on the animation and intercommunication for its transmutation. Their transmutation process became the cosmic movement. Because this movement was formed in the supernatural world, it was called the supernatural movement. This movement was catalyzed by the divine super mind from the original substance, and it was maintained via the transmutation of that substance. Thus, the supernatural movement also includes the divine mechanism, the divine character, and the divine cause. The supernatural world exists within the supernatural world and in the same cosmos, but they get different motions. Therefore, their movements also exist in each other. However, each of them follows their proper circuits due to their different natures. But they are identical because one is latent in the other, meaning the light and the electric move in different circuits, but the light engenders the electric, in which the light also animates. Therefore, the light always exists in the circuit of electric. The supernatural movement, i.e. the cosmic movement, has its proper circuit because it only has the light and the divine super mind. But it and the supernatural movement resemble each other because they both have the light and the divine super mind in their cosmic electric. In other words, the supernatural movement covers and exists within the supernatural movement. In another view, before the visible formation, the supernatural phenomena such as the sun, stars, planets are only composed of the essential elements with the basis being electric, supernatural electrons. Therefore, these phenomena are within their supernatural movement. However, since the light both covers and exists within electric, the supernatural movement also covers and exists within the supernatural movement. In the supernatural world, life's powers began to appear, evidently, in which the character of powers animated. Although electric was superbly visible, there were differences in terms of size, extent, etc. in the formation of the supernatural phenomena. For this reason, the distinction of space existed in this world, meaning that there was space but without time, because the light and the sunlight spread all over the supernatural world and the supernatural world, or in the whole cosmos, visible creatures had not been formed yet. These animating powers were not identical to the original energy in terms of character. They might increase or decrease, and thus formed the supernatural phenomena of different sizes. Thus, in the supernatural world, the space existed, but time did not, because sunlight was filling the whole cosmos. and there had not yet been any visible object on which the sun could project its light, creating days and nights and permitting visualization of time difference due to visible space of objects. The energies animated and transmuted. In this process, yang light and yin light engendered yang electric and yin electric. In their turn, yang electric and yin electric animated, transmuted, and engendered yang qi or qi, then drew in yin qi or qi. When yang qi and yin qi began to animate, they encircled the intersection points of the movements of yang electric and yin electric. The power of yang qi and yin qi came into action in accordance with their circuits. But the electric also existed within and surrounded the two streams of yang qi and yin qi. After a long period, yang qi and yin qi formed the atmosphere. It was the first stage in the recurring formation of the natural world, the visible world, in the cosmos. The planets, surrounded by the atmosphere, which had been activated by electric, transmuted. Following their proper circuit, the two active streams of yang qi and yin qi began their transmutation cycle. Qi came from electric, which had been engendered by the light, while the light itself had been catalyzed into by the divine super mind. As such, a unit of qi contained many other elements that had come into being earlier and engendered qi. The following stage of descendant transmutation in the natural world was the intercommunication between yang qi and yin qi, which produced liquid. Yang liquid appeared first, then drew yin liquid into action, and they formed two streams of powers. Start of footnote. Yin liquid encloses the surface of the earth. The air both dwells in liquid and surrounds liquid on the surface of the earth, the atmosphere. End of footnote. Liquid was engendered by qi, which both dwells in and encloses all sides of liquid. A unit of liquid contains many lighter substances, while all those substances enclose liquid. Liquid and qi then animated, intercommunicated, and transmuted. In the natural world, the transmutation process of these two substances forms their cyclical movement, which is called the natural movements. Movements are formed by the animation and motion of one substance or several substances, of which lighter ones dwell in and at the same time enclose heavier ones. Similarly, movements of lighter substances dwell in and enclose those of heavier substances. Qi exists in liquid. Its area of activation is larger than that of liquid. Therefore, the area of qi encloses completely that of liquid. But qi and liquid are the two powers that formed the natural movement. Electric exists in qi and liquid. Its area of activation is larger than those of qi and liquid. Therefore, it encloses both qi and liquid. The movement of electric is supernatural movement. Because electric exists both within and around qi and liquid, the supernatural movement motions both within and around the natural movement. The light exists in electric, qi, and liquid, and its area of activation is the whole cosmos. Its movement is supernatural movement. The light dwells in all heavier substances. Therefore, the supernatural movement animates in the two other movements and at the same time encloses them. Each world has its own movement. In other words, each movement animates in accordance with its own world. The natural movement functions in the natural world, the supernatural movement in the supernatural world, and the supernatural movement in the supernatural world. A movement animates in another movement and also encloses the latter. Likewise, in the structures of worlds, the supernatural world animates in and also encloses the natural world. The supernatural world exists in and also encloses the natural and the supernatural worlds. In other words, the natural world contains the two other worlds, and all of three of them animate together. That means, in the natural world, there is the animation of the supernatural and the supernatural worlds, both of which also exist within and surround the natural world. The supernatural world consists of the two other worlds, all of which function together. In the supernatural world, there is the supernatural world, which also encloses the first one.